This show is brought to you by The Makery, the podcast network for makers.
Ooh, welcome to another episode of Knife Talk Podcast. This is Mareko Geoff reporting to you in the middle of the day. I feel so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I'm here with Jeff Fader of Fader Knives and the brewmaster, Mr. Craig Lockwood of Chop Knives. We're here to answer questions, talk knives, make jokes, all that fun stuff. How's the week been, you guys? Let's start with Jeff. Or do we want to? Which one do you guys want to take it?
You're shot out of a cannon. I love it. I love it. I'm looking forward to a different dynamics for everybody. It's Friday afternoon. Craig's half in the bag. Mareko just had lunch. This is going to be a whole different ball. It's not Sunday morning anymore. Fine. It was a great week. I hate to say, I like this on Friday afternoons, finishing the week off. I actually had a great week. Nice. And a crazy week, but a great week. And in terms of knife stuff, I got to make some stuff. It was like celebrity chef week, which was great. So I'm going to be making a knife for Julia Davison, who's she's on this PBS show called America's Test Kitchen, and she's been flaunting one of my knives lately, and she just got in contact. She wants another one, which is super cool. And then I did a kind of a wacko knife that my friend Elon Hall, who is the first winner of Top Chef. I was dealing with him this week, and then I just sent the knife out to Jacques Pepin today. That was highlight fucking shit. Yeah, highlight shit. He's, if you don't know who Jacques Pepin is, you might be an EDC guy. You might not be a culinary guy. Jacques Pepin is like the king of, he's French chef, king of the United States in the 50s. And then he was a chef. He worked with, Howard Johnson back in the day. And he was just one of the pioneers of French cooking in the United States. And then he ended up doing a lot of TV shows early on when it was just like him.
Like classic stand and stir stuff, right?
Classic, but like he had a way about him. Like if you want to learn how to make a perfect omelet, you look up his YouTube videos on omelets. He did a show with Julia Childs, which is great because she's nuts and he's like rolling his eyes the whole time. He's incredible. He's in he's late 80s, early 90s now. And then his daughter's so smart. They have a whole foundation. He was involved with the French Culinary Institute. They do these 5-minute cooking videos, and I think they really started it during the beginning of lockdown. And it was these great, quick dishes for your family, and there were less than 5-minute episodes, and it was like he would make shit out of whatever you had in your pantry. He's such a great dude, and growing up, like I watched him show because I had, I was alone, so I was like watching his show. So he's been reaching out to me, and we've been chatting a little bit, and I sent him a knife today, and it was like fucking felt great, really.
What kind of knife was it?
Just as he's getting older, and I just wanted to make him a light knife, so I made him an 8-inch K-tip with Hudson Valley walnut, and then I did a drawing. He's a painter too, so I sent him a watercolor too. So we'll see. It's been like, it's cool. It's like. Of all of them, he means a lot to me, especially. And I know his wife just passed away, and he's just such a great dude. And what he's done for the culinary tradition of the United States is just amazing.
Absolutely. Did you remember? Now you're making knives for all these celebrities that are on TV.
Only for
Did you remember to put only for celebrities? Yeah. Did you remember to put your maker's mark on the shy side, because that's where the camera's going to pick it up? I
put it on the right side, and I don't care. You'll be able to. I ain't worried about whether or not. If it's fine with me. He just can. He deserves to pack it in. I just wanted to give it to him. Yeah. As like a thanks for like keeping me company when I'm 9 or 10 and no one's in the home. It's like I don't need fame or fortune or anything like that. It was just like very full circle for me. So
yeah, nice.
I got to meet him actually a couple of years ago when I was still in Connecticut, because he lives in Connecticut.
That's right.
And he had just made a book that was a collection of paintings, and what they're all these water paintings of like these intricate the like garden scenes and all this stuff. And what they are is basically it's like a journal of menus. So when you have
That's right.
a dinner party or something like that, and you kind of put together the menu, and you kind of it's just like a little journal. But we had him sign it to Victor, and so Victor was there.
Cool.
And we all got like a family photo and stuff, and it was a pretty cool moment because like you said, he is a legend, especially in the United States.
Legend.
So it was a pretty cool moment.
That is awesome because that's one thing he would do when he'd have these cocktail parties. He would draw up menus for all the guests. And then every cocktail party, he would also do I think it was in journal. So he's got years and years and years of these watercolor menus from the cocktail parties he's had at his house. Yeah. And it's like, it's such, and then he gets all his guests to sign the menu. It was such a great concept. He's just such, without just getting too fruity about it. I mean, he's just
sentimentality, not fruity. Being sentimental.
That's fine. Just, what are you going to do? Craig, how you doing?
I'm okay. I've had a weird week. I've done very little work in the way of knives. I spent Monday and most of Tuesday in bed.
Oh, no.
With the worst migraine ever. And when I say migraine, I mean
Christ.
Dizzy if I lifted my arm. It was horrible. I don't often get them. So by Tuesday afternoon, that was sort of easing. Then went to bed Tuesday night, woke up Wednesday and could not move at all.
What?
I pulled a muscle in my neck.
Oh my God.
And sort of going into my back. And I think it must have been where maybe I was just sleeping strange or something because I hadn't been feeling well or whatever it was. But I pulled this muscle and every time I moved, I was in agony. Absolute agony. Like sneezing was just the worst thing. It would just break me. So, yeah, I started off the week not too well. So, yesterday was the first day I was feeling a little better. So, I got a little bit of work done yesterday. And today I've got some work done. So, not the best week, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Does this happen a lot?
No.
Migraines?
No, not really. Not really. I can't remember the last time I had a migraine. I think maybe it's, stress with the house and so on, and just lots. Sure. At the moment, there's just lots and lots going on, and I think it all just sort of, my brain just sort of it all got into compacted into one big thing. But that was the worst. Then waking up thinking, okay, the migraine's gone, but not being able to move just because of this blood. I can still feel it now. The muscle in my neck is still all tight and horrible. But yeah, so a bit of a write-off work-wise. Been spending lots of time back and forth to two houses, with builders and all that kind of thing as well, and making sure they've got what they need. And it seems as if this week has been about 2 days. It seems to have flown by.
Yeah, sure.
Speeded by completely.
Now, you were saying that the weather's changing. Sorry, the weather. You said the weather's changing. Do you think it could be seasonal? Because I used to get recently, in the past 10 years, my allergies. Sometimes I get vertigo. I've gotten vertigo from the inner ear, and it had been an allergy thing.
No, that's an age thing. I think it's.
Are you talking to me? You talking to me?
You got a weather vein in your bones now, Craig.
You're fucking you and your fucking
storms are
neck.
brewing.
I pulled something lying on a pillow. Fuck out of here, fucking old.
But I think, to be honest, a lot of it may have been. So Tuesday afternoon, when I was feeling a bit better, I was needed back at the new house, and basically every single beam on the ground floor is being removed, and these are massive, huge, like 2 12-meter beams. Like for the width of the house.
Wow.
It's a big task, and there's 3 builders there, and they needed an extra hand. I was like, I'll come and give you a hand.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm pretty sure maybe that had something to do with this sort of the muscle thing as well. But yeah, it's just I say the week has flown by, and big day tomorrow, big day. So as you know, it's rugby season, which we've already talked about. It's the big one tomorrow. It's Wales, England. In Wales, and unfortunately it won't be the same as usual, because nobody can go.
Right.
But it's the big. We haven't lost a game yet. England have, and this is the big game for us. It's quite often as long as we beat the English, that's the main thing. And yeah, big.
So how drunk will you be?
Not very. Normally, extremely. Normally, extremely normally. But I mean, we're stuck here. I'm stuck in the house. There's, I'm not going to be. I'll maybe have a drink or two watching, but yeah, it's not going to be the usual sort of Wales-England game back in Cardiff, unfortunately. But I mean, knife-wise, what have I got to say? Nothing really. Working on restaurant orders that are sort of ongoing, and that's it really. That's it. That's been my week. So half in bed, half in pain, and leading up till now, which I'm a little bit late for this recording. So we've screwed things up. I screwed things up rather. We normally record on Sunday morning. This is for the listeners, not for Mareko and Geoff. They know this. And it's Friday night. So yeah, things are a bit different. But I was halfway through brewing a batch of beer, and Geoff messaged me saying, "Well, are we recording now?" And I'm like, "No, we've got another hour." And it's like, "Oh shit, I got my times wrong." So the brew's put on hold, and the dedication to the cause. I'm here in the studio.
Look at you! Look at you!
You're the captain for a
Mareko,
reason.
your week, how's it been?
Well, last week I was looking forward to not messing anything up, and this week, and that's exactly what I did.
That's not a bad. That's a terrible start. That was a terrible start to the beginning.
I totally screwed up my steel. I forged it out in the wrong orientation, and I tried to salvage it. And instead of getting like these long, fine points, because I'm trying to make this fern kind of shaped pattern, they instead of come to a fine point, they kind of curve back to create kind of like a ball sack kind of shape, and I'm like, well, that's not gonna work.
Wait, well, what?
Ball sack Damascus.
Ball sack Damascus, exactly. So I scrapped that.
Testakis.
I should put. Oh my god, I should still put it together. It'd just be a bunch of ball bags down the blade. Otherwise, the steel's just laying here. It's just doing nothing. It's gonna
be a boner knife. It's got to be a 6-inch boner as well.
We are never going to record at 6 a.m. on Sunday again. Fucking ball sack knife. Come on, baby. Jesus.
So I started over, and I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing that I screwed it up, because I figured out how to get to a mosaic bar, which is the bar that then you would cut off tiles and weld back together and make the knife out of. I found a way to get to a mosaic bar in 2 welds. Usually it's like a 3, 4, 5 weld process to get to a mosaic bar, and I got it in 2. So I'm pretty excited about that. Everything's going really smooth so far with that. After the show, I'm going to clean off the billet and cut it up and stack it back up. Let's see, what else happened last week? Oh, or I guess I keep saying that last week, and I'm thinking to the week before last, not just like the last 5 days. I was sharpening some knives actually for a restaurant local in town. I keep trying to figure out like how it can be helpful, because the restaurants are still getting their teeth kicked in with all of this. In Washington State, they can only do 25% capacity inside. A lot of places are doing, which unfortunately probably still isn't the best idea to do any indoor dining. A lot of them are trying to do takeaway, but it's convincing people to pay basically the same price for something that you're just walking out the door. You're not getting all the service and all that other stuff with it. So but anyways, I've been trying to figure out how to be helpful, and as Geoff coined so long ago, and so I've been sharpening knives for local restaurants, just trying to help out, like no cost or anything, just sharpen a knife.
It's really
for them.
cool.
And I fucking sliced right into my right index finger yesterday, or a day before. And I was like, it was all sharp, it was perfectly hung, and it's nothing terrible. It's not like perpendicular to the finger. It's like I was cleaning off the blade, and I just went like half a degree the wrong direction, and I sliced right into my fucking finger. So that felt pretty terrible. But I dropped off the knives. They're super happy. The owner was super happy with them. I got some pizza, super delicious pizza. So shout out to Wicked Pies here in Olympia. And all 3 listeners from the Olympia, Lacey Tumwater area. And then I'm trying to think. Oh, I just dropped pictures of this knife that I finished like almost a fucking year ago. of this Bowie chef that I know I talked about it on the show, but I never got pictures up on Instagram. So I finally got pictures up. It's had a really, really nice, been really well received, and so that was nice. It's nice to get the little feel goods from posting something, people saying nice stuff. I did also one last thing. I had a call with our boy Ben Snur, because today is his birthday, which also apparently happens to be his daughter's birthday. So they got a double birthday thing going on. It was nice to chat with
Happy
him.
birthday,
catch up for a
Pinecone.
second. Yeah.
Pinecone. His daughter Pinecone.
Yeah. And,
His daughter's name is Pinecone.
No, he's got nicknames. He calls his son the Comanche, and then he calls his daughter the Pinecone. There ain't nobody
cool.
better than Ben Snur. Period. That's it. He's he's everything you want and more. Ben Snur, happy birthday. Right. So what did he say?
I just called and just talked to him. He was in the middle of repairing stuff. Unfortunately, he's been doing a lot of repairs lately, and so he was on the way to the lumber yard to go pick up some materials. And so I just talked to him for literally just a couple of minutes and just wished him a happy birthday. That was all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's been a good week, other than fucking things up.
Well, what can you do?
You called it last week. You knew you would. So it's all good.
Yeah, I totally knew I would.
I have one funny COVID story to tell you. Only because I had to tell you because it happened. I walk the dogs all the time, and I have a neighbor who's, young guy. He's got a successful business. For some reason, he's Italian, but he identifies as being a cowboy. I guess I'm not 100% sure. He's got this kind of redneck thing going on, and God bless him. Whatever you want to do, I'm with you. I know your family's from Staten Island, and you want to be wearing the camouflage hunting gear. I'm with you. And I was talking to him. I hadn't seen him in a while. He goes, "Hey, yeah, what's going on?" He sits on his porch eating the bacon, egg, and cheese, and I'm walking the dogs past. He goes, "Hey, you wear a mask all the time, huh? You wear a mask when you walk the dogs?" And I said, "Yeah, I wear a mask." And he says, "Why? You're outside." And I said, "Well, for a couple of things. My wife is exposed every day to new people, and it's also cold. And I didn't want to tell him was sometimes the mask is good because I like to talk to myself sometimes, because when I'm practicing, things I'm going to say on the podcast, I'm just my lips are always moving. So and once my daughter caught me, and she's like, "Oh, Dad's podcasting his brain right now." So I'm talking to the guy, and the guy goes. He says, "Well, I have a place upstate, and I go upstate, and nobody wears masks, and the bars are packed, and we have this lake, and everyone goes from on their snowmobiles from bar to bar, and we don't worry about nobody worries about COVID-19 up there, and it's like normal up there. It's safe." He says it's real safe. And I'm like, "All right, great, congratulations. I'm not a proselytizer." And I look at his face, and I see. It's got all these scratches on his head and scratches all over the place. And I was talking to him for a while. And I go, what happened to your head? He goes, "Oh, I got in a bar fight." And I said, "Oh, bar fight?" He's just like, "Yeah, these dudes, we got drunk, and it was probably 2:00 in the afternoon, and these guys jumped me." I was like, "Oh, good. Safe. It's real safe."
Yeah, sounds like a safe place.
I thought it was hilarious. He was telling me how safe it is upstate with no COVID, and he's getting his fucking teeth kicked in a bar at 2:00 in the afternoon. It's just the irony was so funny to me. I just couldn't get over it.
So you mentioned just then that restaurants are open and they can have a certain percentage of capacity. Is that the same where you are as well, Geoff?
Yeah, they're starting to do 25% indoors, and they've been doing. A lot of places have these especially in Manhattan, they've been building these kind of shanties, these shacks. Outside, and it's number one, they look terrible. Number two, they put the heaters in, and and number three, who's really gonna at 30 degrees, who's gonna sit out in a après ski situation and in a shed to eat and pay $50 a head for food.
Yeah,
and it sucks because a lot of these places don't do takeout. I mean, you don't get takeout expensive food. It's who I remember seeing a video.
My foie gras to go.
Dude, I remember seeing it was a Daniel Baluter, Jean George, who did a video on how to plate the food for the takeaway. You get the takeaway from Jean George, it's going to take you 45 minutes to get out of the box and onto the plate because it was such a production. You turn your oven to this, and then you do this. You're basically cooking the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
So
a lot of the high-end restaurants in London are doing what they call their at-home range,
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're just trying to survive. They're trying to keep,
They're
keep
trying to
people
survive.
employed. But I mean, here in France, there's none of that. The restaurants have just been closed, full stop. There's no, you can have 10% capacity or anything like that. There's just no, you're closed. It's been like that for months and months. I know back in Wales it is slightly different where they can have outside dining, but here it's absolutely no. We still got a curfew here at 6 p.m. It's bonkers. But especially now that the sun is out and 6 p.m. it feels like the middle of the day, and all of a sudden everybody's locked indoors. It's mad. It's madness.
Well, you go down to Florida, everything's open. They're comedy shows and everything. So
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, who knows? Something's got to give. I'm just waiting for the vaccine. I just want the vaccine.
Yeah. Well, I heard today that if I was back in the UK, I'm in the age bracket that they're vaccinating now.
Fucking good.
But unfortunately, I'm not. I'm over here, so I'll have to wait a few more months. But yeah, it's good. But we got good news coming, haven't we? At least.
Definitely. 100%.
Combat Abrasives make the world's best abrasive belts for knife makers. Available in any size and at unbelievable prices. Go take a look at combatabrasives.com and get 15% off with the promo code KNIFETALK15. Do it now!
Now. Sorry.
What was so funny?
I tickled myself a bit then, sorry.
Yes.
I like the part where he goes, combat. That's the part I like the most. He's like really struggling through those lips.
We need to get Brian on the case, Brian House, to do these for us.
Brian's got to do them. I mean, you can't get a better announcer than Brian. You can't. You can't find it. Better than Arnie. Got to get Brian to do these things. Yeah. Well, with that said, this is the time in the show where we call. Well, you, the listener, are able to ask questions to us, and we'll try to answer them. It's called, "Hey man, can I ask you a question?"
Hey, man, can I ask you a question?
I think Brian's better than that guy. I love sports
so.
guy, but Brian's better. He's a Brian House of the Work for a Podcast is a professional. He was hired to do voiceover work. He read Audible books. He said they underpaid him. Yeah, unbelievable. All right, so, hey man, can I ask you a question? Is a time where you can send us your questions and we'll try to answer them. Hey Craig, how can they find out? How can they send it in?
Contact us via DM at Knife Talk on Instagram. It's that easy.
It could be easier if he said Knife Talk Podcast on Instagram, but we
Quite true, yeah.
I mean, Brian, paging Brian, you got to fix that one. Holy shit, we've been promoting the wrong Instagram feed for like 2 years.
We realised last week, and yeah, it's been 2 years of saying the wrong address. I'm wondering why we haven't got many followers on Instagram.
You can't make it up. You can't make it up. But we got a few. So the first question from the listener, this is from Tom Eloizo. Hey, like that,
Eloizo.
Tom. I got it phonetically.
Eloizu.
Tom Eloizu. Thank you. Hey, cuties, I have a question. There's a knife maker in my state, and I admire his work. And I wanted to reach out to just pick his brain and perhaps see some of his process, or even just get to know someone with a similar interest. What are your thoughts? If I touch base to see if he was open to the idea of sharing some knowledge, I don't have knowledge to offer back in return, but I'd be happy to pay. Do you think that's acceptable in the industry? So Tom he sees this bird and he doesn't want to spook the bird. What do you do?
Take it slowly. I mean, just message the guy to tell him you appreciate his work and that you're local, and that'll start a conversation. And then maybe mention that if there's anything you could do to help, you'd like to maybe gain some experience with him, would be good. Don't just bowl straight in and say, where do you live? Can I come around? I've had a couple of those, and it's a bit weird, really weird. So, start a conversation, be natural, and, most people are attracted to people who are interested in the same sort of stuff as them. So, yeah, I'm sure if, start that conversation, and who knows, you could get married one day, who's to know?
You were getting very suggestive.
I've had a couple of beers, just a couple.
Oh, you have. Well, if you're brewing, you got to have beers.
It's the rule. It is the rule.
it's
Yeah,
part
and
of
I'm
the
only
rules, I
halfway
saw
through,
that.
so I'm gonna need a lot more beers, I think. Yeah.
I mean,
So what do we think for Tom?
Yeah, I just had I just posted and I've been tagging Olympia. But Olympia is a big. I mean, any town is a kind of a large space to be able to, how are you going to zero down on just the general term? But I had a guy who's I guess local here, and he's like, "What? You're in Olympia? Where's your shop? I want to come." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. Did you see an invitation anywhere in that tag?" I think like what Craig was saying is perfect. Like starting up conversation's great. But my reality is I just got too much shit going on, and anytime anybody comes by the shop, even if it's a friend that I've known, like I have friends come to the shop from very seldomly, but from time to time, and anytime they come by, like time is just completely lost. It's totally dead.
Yeah.
However long they're there, I get nothing done, and it's good because I don't get to see people, my friends, very often, and but at the same time, like when it comes to productivity, like nothing's happening, and so it's hard to justify doing that, especially with somebody that you don't even really know. And he sounds like this guy's Tom's interested in paying, but at the same time, like right now, especially for me, like money's great and all, but I need to getting through my order list is more important to me right now than getting an extra couple bucks for some. I'm like, and that feels like, to me, that would feel weird to accept a few dollars just for somebody to come visit the shop. Like I plan in the future to do more like public engagement activities and doing demonstrations or doing classes. I'm working with a local makerspace here. They want to start up create a hot working portion of their makerspace, and so I'm working with them to get that set up. But until, like, I don't know, it's like this is my private workspace. This is my studio or whatever you want to call it, and it feels very personal to me. And it's when somebody asks, "Oh, I want to come by your shop," it's like they might as well be asking if they can come to my house for dinner that night. It's very, again, it's personal to me on that level. And so that's why, I'm good with friends coming by, but other than that, like I don't basically ever let anybody come here. And it's also, my shop's on private property. Like I rent from a friend on his private property. And he's not wanting basically strangers, people I don't even really know, coming to his property, to where he lives in his house.
Yeah,
and so, yeah, that's where I'm at.
So Tom, don't reach out to Mareko.
Jeff loves it when people come over.
I
to his
fucking
place.
do not love it. I fucking do not. I mean, I hate to. I was just gonna like squeak out of this one because, but it's like, I wish. My problem is, time is not on my side, and I get very, like, even the podcast. Like I'm very regimented in my day and my time and everything like that. And if I don't meet certain like deadlines time wise, it kind of fucks me up. I have a real problem with that. So I don't get to see. And then with COVID, I'm just like, no one's visiting me. No one. It's just like, I don't want it. I had some people come over and I was like, I'm walking away from you. Get out. You leave. But at the same time, it's like, I think that a lot of people are not as antisocial as we are right now. And I think that you might have the opportunity to develop a relationship, but it's the same thing with, I think that the funny thing is I think that there's a lot of people seem to think that people who are on their own, or they're solitary workers or artists or even tattoo artists, or that they're just like financially independent of, and then they're just able to kind of just fuck around and do whatever they want. I got friends of mine who call me up to say, let's go fishing. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, let's go fishing. Come on. You work for yourself. You don't have to ask the boss. You go fishing. I'm like, yo, I have some shit to fucking take care of.
Yeah.
Even more so because you don't have a boss and you can't skive a little bit. If you do, it's your time, it's your money.
I mean, the times that I do that are with my kid. Like I took an afternoon off last week because my kid was, she's running on a full year of being at home alone. school. So I wanted to take her out and just kind of give her a nice afternoon. That's a different situation. That's a mental health situation. But like sometimes it's hard. I wish I had more. I wish I was 20 years younger. If I was 20 years younger, you can come on by. I have people call me up and say, I want to come over and make a knife with you. Like, I don't know. What? What is this, Kinko's? You're going to like knock out a couple Xeroxes too? I don't know. We're being kind of, this is Friday afternoon. I thought we were going to be all upbeat. We're so far, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Tom,
Okay,
give
I'll
it a
take the
shot.
next one.
Give it a shot, Tom. But at the same time, know that, we're crazy. We're all crazy.
Yeah. Next one is from, I think it's Wes K Knives. Question for you guys. I'm looking for a glossy black finish for a knife handle. I was thinking about going with black G10, but I've never used G10 scales and didn't know how it would finish. If G10 is a good option, would I just take it to the buffing wheel for its finish? He says, thank you. You know what? I hadn't used G10 up until maybe 18 months ago. And the only time I had before that, I'd used like a light blue G10, and it finished terribly. It looked really plasticky, and I didn't like it. And it was you guys. It was Jeff and Mareko. I've seen some of their stuff in black, and it looked incredible. So I got some black, and that is completely different to a lighter colored G10. Completely, it finishes beautifully. So, yeah, from me, a thumbs up for black G10. You get a lovely finish, and yeah, I hand sand to about 400, maybe 600, take it to a buffing wheel. I've got a couple of different wheels and a couple of different polishes, but it'll come up beautifully. Really, really nice.
Nice. What about you, Jeff?
I love G10. I like the fact that it's not like Perspex or acrylic, I like that you see the layers of line. I like you believe it or not, I'm getting text from Ben Snur as we're talking about this, and he's talking about Brian House. You can't even make this shit up. You and I, we're all talking about the goddamn same people at the same time. All right, it's fine. So, I like that layered look because it does give this idea. Once you kind of like grind it and you kind of go through it three-dimensionally, you see those layers, and you end up getting something similar to grains of wood, which I like. The key is you really can't. You got to be careful. You have to watch the scratches of your grit. So the grit progression you should be very careful with your grit progression, because especially with G10, you can leave those scratches, and then with black, it's easier to kind of hide. But like lighter colors, you can't, because the dirt gets in it, and then they get real dirty. So as long as you just kind of like slowly finish through the grits, like I go 220 to 220, 320, 400, and then 800, and then I hit it with a buffer, and I usually can get a pretty great finish. I love G10. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to do more of it, less wood, be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you use G10 much at all, Mareko? I know you use them in your spaces, obviously, but for the actual overall handle?
Yeah, I only use it in my spacer material. And
right.
I haven't actually used it as a handle material. I do know John Doyle, who's a maker out of Michigan, super talented guy. He does these beautiful Bowie knives, and one of the things he does is he just takes it up to a really high finish, like Jeff was talking about. He goes like beyond, though. I thought I can't remember what knife I was looking at of his, but I was like, what the hell? What is this black material? I thought it was wood taken to a really high fine polish, but he told me it was G10, and he just took it up to a really high finish with sandpaper, like 1,000 grit, and then he hit it with some sort of wax, and it just buffed out beautifully. And so I think the key, especially if you're going for a gloss look, like Jeff was saying, is watching that grit progression, taking it up to a nice high finish, and then a wax. I mean, I'm looking at Jeff's Instagram right now, where he's got the Admiral that he did most recently, and the black is beautiful. And I think he's just doing his grit progression right, and you're finishing out with that axe wax, and it's spanking.
That's right. Get the axe wax, ladies and gentlemen. Get the axe wax.
Spanking ass wax.
Full blast 10% off. Come on, baby. You know who does an amazing job? I really, really, really wish I could get into the way, Eric Markman, he listens to the podcast. He does these handles where he's carving into the handle with contact wheels, and then he's using the lines in the G10 to create these incredible patterns of the handle. And so there are guys like Eric does that. I mean, he does it all the time. Eric makes incredible knives. He also makes incredibly obnoxious comments to me about the podcast, but we're with you, Eric. I'm just kidding. But I think G10. I like it when people kind of optimize the material. So like you have those those fiberglass lines, and you're kind of like having that as a part of the vocabulary of the story of the handle is just like I dig that so much. I'm just not good enough with the contact wheels and the I don't know how to put my parameters on things. So.
Sure.
But yeah, G10 is great, particularly black G10. All depends on depends on the finish, but you're going to need some good sandpaper to get a good finish. And we all use the best, which is Indasa Rhino Wet. Best sandpaper out there. It's super quick, so it'll save you time, it'll save you money. But we can save you a bit more money by going to Texas Farrier Supply, where they stock Rhino Wet. And if you use Knife Talk 10, you'll get 10% off the order. But they sell not just Rhino Wet, they sell lots of stuff for whether you're a farrier or a blacksmith or a knife maker. They've got loads there. So head on over to TexasFarrierSupply.com and make sure you use Knife Talk 10 to finish off that G10 beautifully.
Nice. I just saw that Charlie Ellis ordered a boatload ordered a boatload of that sandpaper from Texas Farrier Supplies. He's been doing some awesome work lately.
Dude,
I mean, he always does awesome
bamboo
work. I love his stuff.
That bamboo duk he's making.
His duke.
He's like carving the steel into like bamboo. It looks awesome. He's a good dude.
Yeah. Very nice. All right, we ready for another one?
We also have other bits. Whatever you want to do, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah. You want to do a bit,
Here,
Jeff?
do this one. Well,
I'll do
talk about Lawrence over here.
All right, Lawrence Britton. He says, "Hey guys, I have just found your podcast, and it really is a banger. I'm a DIY enthusiast and haven't progressed to knives yet. I'm an athlete and have my own rowing podcast and just want to ask about your recording setup. I know you're all in different places, so how do you make sure you have such good connections and ensure we get such silky smooth audio? Oh, and my unsolicited... Oh, should we go into that?
Yeah, you should definitely read the whole thing. Definitely read the whole thing.
Okay, unsolicited advice is for Jeff. Please stop saying, I'm interested at the beginning of every sentence. Ha ha ha, you guys are awesome. I'm interested? Do you say that?
Yeah.
I never noticed,
no,
Jeff.
Look, Lawrence might not have the best, fine. Some people have what's called a verbal crutch, and it's the expressions that they rely on when they talk. I have a lot. Trust me, I know. I say it's interesting, or that's fascinating, or what interests me. I do that all the time. I'm aware. Trust me, I know. I have verbal crutches that I lean on. So Lawrence has a podcast. He's a congratulations. Lawrence is a silver medalist on the South African rowing team. He's an Olympian. Wow. He got a podcast called, I almost said Row Talk. It's not a Row Talk. Every podcast I think now is something talk. Row Talk. It's called The Row Show. So congratulations to Lawrence on all your future.
That was very gentlemanly of you, Jeff.
I mean, here's the thing. Trust me, I know that I have verbal crutches, and I listen to the Row Show, and I'd point out Lawrence's verbal crutches if I could get through one episode. So
I was going to say you were very gentlemanly, but that's not the text message that I received. This fucker, you said. This fucker, who do you think he is?
Lawrence, if you want silky smooth audio, maybe you shouldn't. You should change the service on the seashells you're using to talk to your guests. Maybe you should consider not using cans and string. So think about it. No, peace and love, Lawrence. I'm with you. I wouldn't want to turn away one of our listeners.
Fight for everyone.
Craig, tell this pitiful human being what we use.
we're currently in the middle of changing things, actually. So we currently use Squadcast, which is a piece of software which it basically works like Skype, so it allows us all to speak to each other in real time. But what it also does, it will download the audio locally. So like for myself, I'll have a local file of my audio. Jeff will have a local file of his audio. Mareko will have one of his. So we don't get that garbled internet sort of you're breaking up kind of thing. It's as if we're recording in the same room.
That's his bread and butter.
What was that, sorry?
That's his bread and butter, garbled. He likes the garbled audio.
The garbled.
You like-
Row
the
talk.
garbled.
You okay, Jeff?
Yes,
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
So we use Squadcast, but we're thinking of changing to something called Zencaster, which does a very similar thing, as well as a few extra features. And then it's just a case of mixing the three together. We all use the same mics as well, which helps. Simple as that, really. And just making sure you've got, give it a bit of thought. If you're in a big, wide open space where there's sound bouncing off all the rooms, it's going to sound terrible.
I'm just kidding.
that, really.
Lawrence can take a joke. I'm with you, my man. I appreciate it. Everybody go listen to him.
He's a silver medal rowist, so I'd imagine he's got some big arms on him, Jeff. You want to be careful.
Look, what are you... fine, I'm with you, 100%. I'm with you. This guy, Row Talk is the Row Show is the move. Everyone go listen to Row Show.
Go row
Learn
with
something
it.
about, rowing. Catch a crab or something. That's an expression. That's a rowing expression, catching a crab. You know about that?
No.
You don't know about catching a crab?
No.
That's when if you're not rowing in line with your other rowists,
You're crabbing.
you're not crabbing. You get knocked out. So if you catch a crab, that means you get kicked off the boat. So I didn't learn that on Row Talk, by the way.
Episode 9 of Row Talk. Right?
Episode 9 is all about the crabbing. He's a good dude. I'm with you, Lawrence. I gave you enough of a beating. I'm with you.
Okay, who's going to take the next one? I tell you what, let's do a hot take.
Still so funny. All right, so what a hot take is, guys, is I'm finding hot takes to be such an interesting thing. So it's basically came out of journalism, and it's a piece of deliberately provocative commentary that's based entirely on shallow moralizing. So basically, it's just like loud, fact-free declarations. This was came up with by like audio, radio, sports radio guys. So they get people to call in. They'd say, this pitcher sucks, or whatever, with no. It's just basically bullshit. It's some horse shit, declarations. So I asked you, the listener, to send me your Knife Talk hot takes, and you didn't disappoint. So if you want to send us a hot take, we'll keep reading them off. Keep them short. One sentence, 2 sentences. You don't need to, don't write me the Magna Carta. It ain't gonna work. All right. So this one comes from Noah, and then I'll read them, and then you guys can make commentary on them or whatever. And then stop me when you want to. All right, so Noah Jacob says, "Hey guys, I have a hot take for you. Serbian chef knives are fucking stupid and useless, and whoever's responsible for making them needs to be tarred and feathered and exiled from civilized society. Thanks for making Mondays not suck so bad." That is a proper hot take. Serbian chef knives are fucking stupid.
Chef.
It's
Does it look like a fighter? Is it like a crazy knife?
No, it looks like half of a digging spade, half of a shovel. Have you seen those?
Dude,
No.
I can't believe
I'm
you.
going to Google it now. Live reaction on the show. Are you ready?
It's like a cleaver, and they bent the nose over. And you see them on these YouTube things, and it's always like some dude cooking like beets on a log, some bullshit.
I got you.
On a
Yeah,
hot
so it's like a
stone.
cleaver. It's almost like a big cheese knife. It's got this cleaver with a big rounded edge. Yeah.
Now these companies are selling some dude in Serbia did some bushcrafting videos, and he's cooking steaks on a rock, and then everyone wants to, what's that knife? It's like the Serbian knife. He's digging ditches with it. He's burying bodies and cooking dinner with them. The next Knife Talk hot take comes from Bear Valley Forge. "Hey guys, I've got a hot take. People that don't make knives have no business telling knife makers their products are too expensive or what they should be charging." I'm not mad at that hot take.
No, not at all. True.
Nope.
True dat.
Meek Knives says, hot take, 120 grit should never be considered finished, and anyone that does should be publicly flogged. Everyone wants some flogging going on. There's a lot of flogging going on here.
I think that's just personal taste. Honestly.
Yeah, it's personal taste. Well, I mean, that's a hot take. I mean, that's really what hot takes aren't supposed to be nice. They are totally obnoxious. Jordan Buckley says, boneless chicken wings are just glorified chicken nuggets. That's a hot take. He's not
the big kid.
That's the truth again.
the fucking hot take. Taylor Mead says, open heel knives are hard use knives, far exceeding any fixed blade you can acquire. A hot
That's
take.
bullshit, but
Well, that's not a hot.
Yeah, that's a bullshit statement.
That's a hot take. I mean, this is the meaning of a hot take. It's not supposed to be nice. It's controversial to a certain degree.
yeah.
Pig Iron Forge says, hot take, knife talk hot take. If you receive a free knife as a thank you, and ask to have it changed and reprofiled 2 years later, you're an asshole. Yes, you are an asshole. That's not a hot take. That is a fact. He goes,
Personal experience too.
Yeah.
That surely.
Nikiri to Gyoto, and then he gives the fingers. So he gives someone a free knife, and then just like, can you change this into something completely different? Leonard Lee says, hot take, any test of a knife that involves cutting a bit of paper is completely worthless. That is a
Controversial.
That's a controversial. That's not. I don't believe in that.
I don't.
That's
I don't
the hot
agree
take
with
on
that
it.
one.
I like the paper cut. I listen. I like to listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel the drag. Yeah.
Here's a hot take. Chad Kimmel says Prince is better than Michael Jackson, and it's not even close. I think I'm completely on board with Chad Kimmel here.
Better at what?
Say what? Of what? Of what? Fucking what? Of being dead? I mean, come on. Of what? Fucking playing tennis?
I never got Prince. See, never got it. Never got it at
Dude,
all.
Prince is the man. Prince is the man. FD Knives says anime and video game weapons are stupid, and we don't want to make them. That's a fucking funny hot take. Here comes. You guys like these hot takes?
Yeah.
They're good.
all right.
Liking them.
Mario, and I didn't even have to promote him. People just started putting them in. Mario Dunkelberg says, hello there. Here's a hot take. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. Thanks for the good show and keep up the good work.
I'm going to use that so hard, that quote. I might go on my website tomorrow. That one.
Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. That was from Prince. That's what Prince said.
Yeah, right.
Joe Whitney says, here's a hot take. Your opinion doesn't matter. That's a fucking meta thing to say right there.
Was that DM directly to you,
I
Jeff?
guess. I don't know. I had a couple we had to like, there's one person I had to brush back. We'll get to him. Hot take this is from Robert Pierce. Advertisers that use emergency vehicle sirens in radio commercials should be tarred and feathered.
Oh Jesus!
I've
I've heard those.
There's a lot of tarring and feathering suggestions in this community. Everyone wants like old school justice.
It's tradition.
Tradition. And you know what they say about tradition? It's peer pressure from dead people.
Dead people.
All right. Ronald Knives says, here's a hot take for you. Anyone who mentions edge packing, I'm going to read it over. I apologize. Ronald Knives says, here's a hot take for you. Anyone who mentions edge packing and doesn't immediately follow with the words is fucking bullshit. Should be thrown off the internet immediately and permanently. I love the hot take. I love what people, if you get them to concentrate what they're saying, they're good.
Yeah, condense what you're going to say into it. Yeah,
Right.
it's good. It's all good.
Here's a very crazy hot take. Charlie Knives says, here's a hot take. I miss the days Knife Talk had good content. Thanks, guys.
Oh, you bastard.
Wow. Wait, just hold on. Just hold on. Calm down. Keep up the good, whatever. I immediately, before you give him a thrashing, I already said, what would you, I wrote to him, poor guy, he was making a joke, and I wrote to him like in a fucking froth. I said, what would you like us to talk about, Jason? And he's like, oh, that was just sarcasm, I was just making a joke, it came out wrong. I'm like, I am 100% with you, but I was like, I know I was going to read this and Craig is going to go fucking flying through the microphone, but
I did see it pop up in the DMs.
I try to erase them quickly because I don't want you guys to see them. And then the last one is from Noah Larson, and he says, "Hot take: Jeff's friction folders using bus tokens is found object art." That fucking hurt. That hurt.
Ooh.
I disagree. It hurt, but it was a good hot take. I appreciate it. So, guys, I like hot takes. I think the boys like the hot takes. And if you want to send your hot takes in, it should be 1 sentence, 2 sentences, and it should be a controversial declaration. I got some that I just can't read. So it's just like, I mean, know your audience. And if you can't just start talking about, fucking people and stuff like that. It's just, you just can't do it. It's a Monday morning, and we're getting a lot of listeners who are under 14. So we gotta put your hot take in, but just know your audience. So there you go. Play the outro music for Knife Talk Hot Take.
It's so long.
I'm sure there's an extra wow each time.
It reminds me of the Family Guy. You guys ever watch the Family Guy where Peter, anytime he falls and hurts his shin, he's just like, and he does it like a million fucking times, like way longer than it should go. Kills me every time.
Hot take.
So
hot
good.
take jingle's good.
Okay.
Knife Talk is sponsored by Even Heat, the manufacturers of the finest heat treating ovens available. Find your next oven at evenheat-kiln.com. To the chopper!
Even Heat. It's what we all use. They're the best. They make the best kilns. And we can actually get you money off as well. We can get you $75 off and free shipping if you order via Soul Ceramics. And they're a distributor of Even Heats. You can specify exactly how you want it with the tap control or the relays, whatever you want. They got all the models in stock. So head on over to knifetalk.net/heat. And you've got to make sure you go to that domain, because then it'll apply that discount for you at checkout. So make sure you get your $75 off and your free shipping in the US by buying from Salt Ceramics at that domain. Thank you very much.
And once we get to 10,000 followers, you can just do the swipe now. And I must say, since Mareko mentioned that last week, our numbers have been bumping up steadily. So
because we've been promoting the wrong the wrong address for a long time.
Yeah.
Muppets.
So if you don't follow us yet, please go follow us. Let's all make this easier for each other.
Yeah, Knife Talk Podcast on Instagram.
Right.
We've had another question from Jamie Mackey. I know this has been done to death, but have you got any more tips on pricing your work when dealing with imposter syndrome? I got messages from 2 mastersmiths telling me off for pricing too low, but I'm really bad at selling in general and really struggle with value in my work. I also had one guy think I was from Pakistan today. So I'm obviously doing something wrong.
His prices are fucking good. I mean, you're gonna get a bargain from poor Jamie. Jamie, you gotta bump your prices up. I'm with
That
you.
caught me by surprise, that last sentence.
They thought it was from Pakistan. That's funny. Was Zarzabard.
I can't find them.
I mean, the thing is, if it's working for you, it's working for you. Don't let anybody else put pressure on you with your pricing. But I mean, you need to be making a profit. You need to be advancing in what you're doing and all that kind of thing. So don't necessarily listen to what others are telling you with regards to your pricing. Just make sure it's working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're dealing with. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think the trouble that some makers have is that they feel like it's kind of diluting their prices, because there are some very talented people out there who only do knife making as a hobby. But so when they sell the stuff, sometimes they only sell it maybe just for the costs of the materials. And so for makers who are trying to do this as a business, I guess people who are buying from them are wondering, why the hell am I paying you so much money when this other guy over here is charging a fraction of what you're charging? And the difference is that one guy is a hobbyist and the other is actually trying to run a business and earn a living. And I think it's makers who are trying to earn a living who have a really hard time with other makers who are just doing it as a hobby, who are doing really great work but not charging very much.
It's just, you also have to decide what you want out of life. And it's if I think it's nice that master bladesmiths or all these high level dudes are telling you, saying, bump your prices up. I mean, at the very least, that's a compliment. At the very least, it's like, it's a compliment. So I tend to think that, we struggle with it all the time, the pricing. I try to keep my prices reasonable. I like my prices the way they are. We kind of like, talk about different ways in which to, either raise or lower. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd love to be able to make a less expensive knife, but bills got to be paid, and like, we have shit we need done. So it becomes very difficult. And, then you're fooling around with volume versus, the product, and do what you think is right. But the other thing is the hardest part is with pricing is for some reason, people don't go to the grocery store, and then when they get to the checkout aisle, they don't haggle after everything's been rung up, Why do people do that with us? So I hate haggling with people. And, you can do the whole, 10% isn't the biggest deal in the world. But at the same time, it's just like, you know what? The price is the price. I'll never forget my sister used to do these yard sales all the time. And my other sister and I would get all of our shit and bring it up to her place. She had these great yard sales. And my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, we got all this bullshit stuff, and we put out like a jar, like a bucket that said 25-cent bucket. And this old woman grabbed like a wooden spoon or something like that, and turns to my wife and she says, I'll give this to you I'll take it for 15 cents. And my wife says, okay, fine. And I stopped everything and I said, you can pay the 25 cents. You can pay the 25 cents. And the woman just opened her eyes and like, break out the quarter. If you want that fucking spoon, you old bat, 15 cents ain't enough. You gotta, go dig into the couch, lady, But it's like, people just, I hate the nickel and diming.
Yeah, and I mean, as a maker, you got to value your time and your work, and by just saying, no, it's only 10%. I mean, that's 10% of your time that you could have been at home with your family, for example, or 10% of of the bill that you need to pay. It's value your work more. Don't get any sort of discount in. But with regards to pricing and people telling you need to charge more, just make it work for you. Whatever works for you, do it that way. Don't feel pressure from anybody else. Excuse me. Yeah, it just needs to work for you.
It's something I've heard before. I think I was listening to like one of Seth Godin's books, and if you're only competing on price, you are not in a good position. Part of what we're doing today when we use social media like Instagram is to kind of not only show the work that we're doing, but also show our personality. And part of why people are buying what we make is because of our personality and what we represent. And people like to buy from brands and companies that they feel like represents a philosophy, a lifestyle, or whatever that is a reflection of them. I'm not going to buy fucking anything from anybody who walks around proudly talking about being like a white supremacist or anything, because I do not. And that's like going to the full, like other end of the spectrum, but because I do not identify with that at all. And so I guess what I'm trying to get at is, don't just, if you're a maker and you're concerned about competing on price, do not just compete on price. Bring more value than what just the object is. Bring a lifestyle, a philosophy, something else that people will also appreciate and give them more of a reason to want to buy from you versus somebody else. I mean, because we're all basically selling the same fucking thing, right? We're all selling knives. Yeah. And so if it was just about just the price point, the person with the lowest price always wins, but it's not just about the price point. There's a reason somebody's willing to pay $5,000 for a knife from me,
If pricing is your main thing, if that's how you get customers because you're a lower price, there's going to be somebody lower than you again. And if your customer only values an item because of its low cost, you're never going to be making much of a profit, because they'll want cheaper every time. Every single time they'll want cheaper.
Well, it's just a race to the
If it's
bottom.
not you, they'll happily go to somebody else if it's cheaper because there's no other investment. The only thing is cost to them, and sometimes you just need to you need to sell your story a bit more maybe if that is the case.
I think it's not. He's struggling with it like. I don't think he's shy about it. I think it's just like he just doesn't know. And I've been there. I've undervalued sculpture in the past, and I've been in the position of like hating having to talk about money with people. And like I told the story all the time. The last show I had, this woman looked at one of my lures and she says, "How much is that?" And I said like $200, and she goes, "I never paid that much for bait." It was like this fucking. It hurts, but it's like. I don't think there's anything wrong with being able to get a fair price. And I saw the prices, and you could definitely raise your price. Your work is beautiful, and you got master bladesmiths telling you that your work is beautiful and you should raise your price, and it's good enough for me. It should be good enough for you.
There we go. Hobby Hawks Knives says, "Evening, gentlemen. I have a question or dilemma for you. I'm currently working on a relatively low-paid, minimum-paid job, 9 to 5. It pays the bills and keeps a roof over our heads. However, that along with family time really cuts into my ability to make knives at a good rate. I'm finding that I'm having to turn sales away because I can't keep up. Sales which would potentially pay more than my current sort of real day job. My plan is to continue, save up for a grinder and other equipment. He's currently using files and homemade file jig.
Wow.
Then take the plunge once I'm happy with the equipment I've got. But I'm starting to get impatient. I'm interested to hear what you guys would do in my shoes." He says, "Thanks for the great podcast. They really helped me get through my work days. All the best, Mark." And he's from Hobby Hawk Knives. So he's making knives currently with just files and a homemade jig, and people are wanting to buy them, which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
But yeah, but he's sort of stuck in this job that he doesn't want to be in, and we have similar questions to this every week when people say, when did you make that jump to becoming a full-time maker? And I think even just last week we answered this one again. Everybody's different. There's no sort of line in the sand. When you get to that point, you're now a full-time maker. Everybody has different commitments, different responsibilities. So it would never be my place to say, yeah, just give up work and make knives, because I don't know your responsibilities. I don't know what sort of income you need and what income your knives would bring even. But I mean, you seem to have your head screwed on. You're not just jumping in blind. I think, just keep plugging at it. I mean, you've got the attitude of, you are still making anyway, and what little time you do have. Just keep at it, sell what you do make, and if you can put this money aside and eventually be able to get maybe more tools, and afford yourself a bit more time, to start doing this as more of an income generator.
I think that's perfect.
What do you guys think?
I think it's perfect.
I know exactly what I would do. One thing is, and I've talked about this a before. I think that I was just talking about this with Brian House. There is a degree of urgency that people need to have if they're going to make a decision. And what happens is there is a little bit of comfort in having a 9-to-5 job. Nothing wrong with that. If you like your job, and all of a sudden this hobby is becoming something good, what I would do would be I would bank on making as many knives as you can and don't pre-sell them, and then finish them all. You got your 9-to-5 job, you're working on your 9-to-5 job, and then afterwards, then sell them, and then see how you feel. And then keep doing that. Don't pre-sell the knives, because pre-selling the knives becomes a problematic because you feel indebted. If you can make these things the way you want them, how you want them, and then move them once they're done, that might be an easier way for you to keep enjoying it. But if all of a sudden sometimes people have this feeling of like, stuff, people put a deposit down or people already paid, and then you just like, now I have to I have a job, and then now I have to get into it can be a drag. But at the same time, that whole thing about like, do I take the plunge or not? It all depends on how hungry you are. And I think that, I'm psyched for you to have a job, especially this day and age. You have the ability to, anybody who can make some money that helps their family, I fucking salute you. But there is that making the decision to become an entrepreneur. It's a degree of hunger. It's a degree of how far are you willing to go. And sometimes you have to make decisions that are drastic. and you have to be willing to take it. So make those fucking things and sell those motherfucking things, and then think about it. And after you sell them, get yourself a Broadbeck Ironworks grinder. You know, get that long platen, vertical, horizontal grinding. Get those beautiful, you know, attachments that work in any. This is what you need to do, Mark. You gotta get yourself a Broadbeck Ironworks grinder. Go to broadbeckironworks.com, put in Knife Talk 10, get yourself 10% off on a grinder that's gonna make you happy. It's gonna change your life. You're gonna be able to spend more time with your family, Mark. You don't have to deal with those files anymore. You're gonna get your combat abrasives. You're gonna be ripping through knives, and then all of a sudden you're gonna say, you know what? What have I been fooling around with these files all this time? I gotta get myself that beautiful Broadbeck Ironworks grinder, and I'm gonna fool around with that. And then, you know,
you'd sell your own soul, wouldn't you, Jeff?
I mean, you know, I've been fooling around. I'm trying to get a bandsaw over at Full Blast Podcast. It's a lot of wax to make up for that bandsaw. So I'm with you.
The wax. Should we tell him about the text that I sent you earlier?
Go ahead. Feel free.
So I was in the car earlier with my wife, and we put on Jeff's podcast because I hadn't heard this week's. And Jeff's got a sponsor, which is Axe Wax. And my wife is sort of on her phone, sort of half listening. She just looked up and she went, "Ass wax? What is ass wax?"
I'd love to sell some ass wax. Well, I think it's because I say it. That's because I say in the podcast, go get yourself some axe wax and wax that axe. So I'm sure that's why she said. She thought I was talking about.
It's just the way she sort of looked up and went, "Ass wax? What is ass wax?"
Promo code FullBlast10 to get yourself 10% off all your ass wax. Fine.
Bit of cross promotion there. Dylan Myrick has got a question. He wanted to ask about the dangers of grinding naked, but you found that for myself, it's liberating. I'm virtually hairless now, so the second thing I've been wondering is when I get up to a 220 on the grinder, it seems to leave what looks like a little fuller groove marks in the blade. I'm assuming it's from the joint where the belt joins to itself. He says too much pressure or not enough speed. Love you, Dylan. So first off, there's the obvious question, first of all, that the grinding naked, I mean, what's he using for the push stick? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, baby.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see that guy who does these? He puts like a silk towel on him, and he has different ways to like rip it off of him, so like the glasses don't fall
the
off.
Asian guy. Yeah.
You seen that guy? He makes a face like he'll have like drones will like pull the satin sheet off, and there'll be like a sign, and it was usually on his breasts.
He does this weird face to the camera then, yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is that Dylan?
I'm gonna just get a... No, I don't think that's Dylan.
So he's on about he's using, when he's going up to sort of 220 on the grinder, it leaves like a little bump, which he said looks like a fuller groove mark in the blade. And he says he assumes it from the joint where the belt joins to itself. Yeah, it probably is. I'm now going to about 400 on the belt, on the grinder, and I'm finding anything else because the paper gets thinner each time, so that joint becomes more sort of pronounced, I suppose.
Sure.
I mean, there are ways around that. Some people put like a softer backing on the platen, just to give it a little bit of leverage, less pressure. But yeah, it's a common thing. Do you come across that, Mareko? How do you handle that?
I have a little bit of a backing behind my thinner belts. I get, I use the J Flex belts from Combat, and if there is a hard backer behind it, there might be a little bit of a jump or a chatter that cause a little funk in the surface of the blade. But by putting a backing on your platen, even a thin one of leather or some kind of, I think what Andreas Kalani puts on is like he holds on to the Scotch-Rite belts when they're not doing what they're meant to do anymore. He keeps them instead of throwing away, and he trims them down and uses them as a backing, which is a really good tip because that will help, like I think Jeff was saying, or Craig, I can't remember, sorry now, but it gives a little bit of a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of give, so that instead of jumping up into your blade, it's it's kind of absorbed by the Scotch-Brite backing, and it helps create a more satin finish across your blade instead of getting that jump.
You just need to be careful that you're not doing it too much, because you can get a bit of sort of a convex sort of grind on it, where you'll sort of round over slightly.
Right.
But yes, as long as you're not going up to sort of 2,000 on your grinder, you should be all right.
I want to diagnose that he might have a deformation on his platen. If sometimes the platens, this is one of the good things about Broadbeck. A lot of times with platens, you can get a piece of Pyrex. I get the piece of Pyrex, and then I JB weld it behind on the top. The Pyrex doesn't wear away as fast as a steel platen. Broadbeck actually sells replacement plates for your platen, because you do wear it away. Like if you don't have something, you're just pushing pressure, it does, so if you're fooling around on one spot and you're noticing it's a fuller, it could be the between the regular part of the platen and the dip. It could be your platen could have a slight deformation. And like the guys were saying, those J-Flex belts are so thin that you feel everything behind it. So if you have any kind of deformation in your platen, that might be one of the issues.
Yeah,
and especially if you're working in front of that platen with a work rest and you're profiling the knives,
right? Your penis is out.
Yep.
Exactly.
You got your dick and balls out, working on your ball sack Damascus.
This may be a good time to point out that it's International Women's Day coming soon, so we're gonna have females presenting the show for 1 week only. We're not gonna tell you anymore. You'll just hear the episode, and there we go.
We gotta tell about
some slightly different content.
We have to talk about our dynamite host.
Yes,
Holly Loftus is going to be the host.
Oh, yes. Who makes amazing knives.
Good person.
So she's going to be hosting almost like a takeover, I suppose, for a week. But she's speaking to some kick-ass female makers as well. So that's going to be really cool. That's coming up, I think the 8th is International Women's Day. So it may even be next week, maybe. I'm not quite sure of the dates, but yeah, it's coming right up.
I have some, I know you didn't ask, but...
Do it.
All right, guys. This is a rehash of... what was it originally? It was you know what you should do. Yeah, so
hey man, you know what you should do.
Hey man, you know what you should do. But now it's hey, I know you didn't ask, but so that's when you give your unsolicited advice. And our first one comes from a new listener, Meredith G. McDaniels. I'm a 23-year-old female massage therapist from Alabama, and I've been listening.
We got a lot of them listening, funnily enough.
Maybe for your neck. She should beat your neck up. I'm from Alabama, and I've been listening to y'all on iHeartRadio for the last few weeks, but I can't find out how to give a good review there. I've been obsessed with Forge and Fire for years, and I want to recreate my favorite swords and knives one day. The only knowledge I have of forging is from the show and y'all's podcast. I listen to a few other knife podcasts, but they aren't even close to y'all. That's right. Good old Meredith. Hearing about your different cities, food activities, business rants, and forged knowledge is a perfect combination. Hearing about your idiot clients hits home harder than I can explain. Any books or advice on swords would be greatly appreciated as well. Thanks for everything, and I die if this makes it to the show, by the way. Now, she gave in I know you didn't ask, but... I know you didn't ask, but when you go for a massage, it increases your blood flow. And the blood flow powers the very, quote, valuable part on a man's body, giving it life, a.k.a. a boner. Well, that's normal anatomy. So when that happens, just ignore it. I hate it when male clients hold it to cover up when I go to massage their hands, which are now covered in penis germs. My rule is if you don't look at it and you don't touch it, it'll go away. And this doesn't work for my husband, though. and I prefer to stay married. So, guys, if you go to a massage therapist and you get that raging hard on, just pretend it's not there, is what Meredith's saying.
If you've just tuned in, this is Knife Talk, where we talk knives and knife-related stuff.
Look, I mean, I know you didn't ask. I mean, we didn't ask. Have you ever guys gone to a massage? Get massages done?
Once on holiday it was in Turkey, so it was like a Turkish massage, and I hate it. I wouldn't say I hate being touched, but sometimes you just feel as if you like want to kick out. You just fuck off, or you just want to kick. That was my reaction.
What did your massage therapist look like? Mert Tansu? He hitting you with a tree branch? That bald head just hitting you with a tree branch?
No, I don't know. I hate it. I hated every second of it. But so yeah, it's not a regular thing for me.
What about you, Mareko? You get massaged?
Definitely. My back went out actually when I was 26, and it was in conjunction with a bunch of chiropractic work I was getting, and so yeah, I was doing massages like once a week for like 3 or 4 months, something like that.
My wife got me a massage, and a number of years ago, and I told her, I said, listen, there's a chance I'm not used to being touched by a person, a woman, other than you, and I might get an erection. I said that right. I said just letting you know it might happen. And she goes, fine. It's not a weird. I mean, this is a massage therapist. This isn't like a rub and tug place, What's so funny about that?
I don't think Craig's ever heard that.
You've never heard of a rub and tug?
Never heard of that. No, I haven't.
That's big. That was big in New York City.
Rub and tug.
You never heard of a rub? I had friends who used to go to rub and tug places all the time in New York. Down in Wall Street, there's a pile of them. They're called rub and tug. So, but the thing is there's so many rub and tug places, you automatically think that you're going to get, finished off. And so this poor Meredith, I'm sure, I can only imagine what she has to go through, but I'm with you. So I told my wife, I'm like, look, I'm just, it's going to happen. So I went up to get this massage. I was nervous, but, I was prepared, and I was like, okay. So the woman starts giving me a massage, and she's very nice, and she's giving me a massage, and so I start to do chit chat because, I just start chit-chatting and talking about her family, and she's like, I take care of my husband, and he's very infirmed. I'm like, oh, that's sad. That must be really hard. Next thing you know, he's got an incurable disease, and she's starting to cry.
Oh boy.
And all I can think of is, definitely not going to get an erection now. True story. I was just like
disappointed.
I was like, problem solved. And the fucked up part about the whole thing was a great massage. She was literally crying, and I was just I'm not going to talk the next time because this is so weird. She's just crying. I'm naked under a towel, and this woman's crying, and it sounds weird, but I was just asking her nice questions about her husband and whether he wasn't doing so good. So then we talked, and I said I was a sculptor or whatever. So he booked me for another one. And then I got another one, and I thought to myself, all right, don't fucking say a word. Don't talk about her parents. Don't talk about her family. Just get the massage, blah, blah, blah. Get the massage outstanding. I told her not to use oil. She was putting oil on me, and I was just like, I'm going to light on fire when I get back to the shop. So don't grease me up anymore. I get dressed and I leave, and there's a guy in the waiting room, and she says, "Oh, Jeff, I want to introduce you to this guy." And I'm like, "What?" So I guess after I'd gone to the masseuse, she had told this client of hers about that I'm a sculptor, and he's trying to come up with he wants to make he wants to go into business selling a pair of hands that you can massage yourself with. So he wants to find someone who's willing to cast somebody's hands and to make a perfect copy of the masseuse's hands to be made into God knows what. In my mind, he's explaining it to me, and I'm like, I'm like drowsy from the thing, and he's trying to come up with she put him behind me so he could pitch an idea to me, and then he's talking about me making a prototype for these fucking hands that are going to be, be able to, put on the door and you can rub up your back on.
The Jungle Book.
Yeah.
The bear.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was just like, and as soon as he starts giving me this pitch, all I can think of is, well, I can never go back to this woman again. You know, it's just like, I finally have a good thing. We've done with the crying, and now she's pitching me business plans. And I said to the guy, I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do you think this is? And next thing I know, it sounds to me like it's just some sort of, sexual device. Like I'm gonna like cast this woman's hands, and we're gonna figure out a way to put like something inside of the hands that'll make it stiff enough that you could rub yourself with it.
Oh, Jesus.
And then he said, and I said, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to make this. He said, what would you charge to make a mold? I'm like, what are you going to send this to China? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And then I was just like, I had to fire the masseuse. I'm like, can't I just get a rub and relax? Do I not have to get fucking, everything's a thing with this masseuse. Not relaxing. Both times were not relaxing. The massage was good, but the extraneous stuff was like awful.
Oh,
so that's the answer.
Too bad.
Get yourself an erection, 10% off. If you just talk
10% off a rub and tug and Knife Talk.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, poor Meredith. Thank you, Meredith. And in regards to books and stuff like that on forging, you guys have any books that you would suggest?
Not on sword making. No, I mean, there's a few on knives that I've got, and I quite like, but nothing on swords. No, unfortunately not.
All right.
There's a Swedish maker named Peter Johnson. Has nothing to do with rub and tugs.
I mean, he can't make this shit up.
And
Give me right down the door from like George Weiner.
And he is probably the world's foremost sword scholar. And he has a really awesome book. He has these it talks about kind of like the sacred geometry of swords and the sword design. And so when it comes to figuring out different lengths and width of the guard and length of the handle and the blade and the balance points and all those kind of different things, that's a really awesome book. But outside of that, when it comes to forging, I mean, I don't think a lot of people are interested in taking classes right now, but online information, there's always, again, there's Jason Knight we talked about last week in his Forge series. And the fundamental skills you can learn there, you can transition into blade forging for larger blades like swords.
That is a great video. And then I actually just talked to Pat Quinn, who sent me a pair of tongs, which were beautiful, at the Center for Metal Arts, and they are teaching classes, and they have housing available. It might not be swords, but it's like if you want to get into blacksmithing. Also, look up books from Jack Andrews. Jack Andrews' New Edge of the Anvil. That's a great forging book. I think that's right, Jack Andrews. I'm pretty sure it's Jack Andrews. And then, yeah, I mean, it's all not going to be swords right out of the chute. So,
yeah. We went from pork swords to real swords in what, 2-3 minutes?
Pork swords, how dare you? Steve Ellis says, I know you didn't ask, but you should turn up Craig's mic. I can barely hear half the shit he mumbles. Meanwhile, Fader is blowing out my eardrums. Oh, God, I love a Friday. Okay, Aubrey Hummer says,
Get some good headphones, Steve.
yeah, Steve, I think if you're playing on bad headphones. Craig's mixing this perfect. Aubrey Hummer says, I know you didn't ask, but I could have a knife making superpower. It would be to not go to the bathroom all day. I hold it as much as I can, but this teacup sized bladder interrupts me in the middle of every process.
Comes with age.
Jeb Taylor says, gentlemen, here's some unsolicited advice about cutting stainless steel foil. Long size, straight clip aviation snips. Most snips of this style have tiny serrations that make the foil not a razor blade after being cut. I still wear gloves, and it's nice to have one less edge trying to steal my blood. Keep up the great work. From Jeb. I do razor blades. I use razor knives to cut my stainless foil and straight edge, and it's the best. I do that.
I just put a glove on and use scissors, but I find they blunt the scissors really quickly as well, obviously.
The disposable razor blades, and then you score it, is really good, but the trick is you can't start at the edge. You have to like pierce the stainless like 1/8 of an inch after the edge so it doesn't pull the stainless steel. But I'm getting the best results in terms of cutting, and I don't like using scissors. I like to keep my hands away from the foil anyway. So, but the box cutter is really good. Steve Ovenshire. Steve is such a good dude. He's making swords and he's making like knives for like The Rock in movies. He's making movie stuff. He's awesome. Good, really great dude. Hey guys, I know you didn't ask, but the question last week, I have $200. How do I become a knife maker? Struck a nerve. Seriously, I'm all for that young man becoming a knife maker, and I applaud his initiative. He might be the next Jerry Fisk, for Christ's sakes. However, I get that question asked weekly. My answer is always, every time, is save up and take a damn class. Proper training and the resulting techniques will save you time and money in the long run. YouTube is a great resource, but it doesn't in any way replace hands-on learning from a qualified instructor. With the newly acquired knowledge, you will know what to spend your money on in the future. Think of a marathon, not a sprint. Ran over, and of course, all the obligatory things like I love the show, you guys rock, keep the good work, and please more penis jokes. Well, we've done that.
Really?
We've taken care of that in advance, Steve. Peace and love, Steve. So
there we go. There we go. I think that could be a cue to maybe end the show. Before we do, sorry,
I like after the
very long
recording.
exhale.
You guys are like, it's a different vibe. I like it.
dreams for the week. What are we hoping to achieve this week? And yeah, what's the ultimate for the week? Let's start with Jeff. What we got?
Well, I got some forks to finish, some weirdo forks. I want to do some different forks. I'm going to change my fork around. I want to do more like, there's this new thing, and I was talking to Tony about it because, you know, he was a professional chef, my business partner. There are these forks that these chefs are using for pasta, and they're like the fork. What Tony told me most forks are for.
For plating out.
No, it's for like being able to. The resistance can tell you how done something is. So like in the professional kitchens, they're using these long forks. It's almost like it's like a 2-pronged fork, and it's not like a fork you would use to eat with. It's almost like looks like a tuning fork, and it's for to see the doneness of your fish, the doneness of your beef, but also a lot of chefs like Chef Mark Vetri and all these like hot shot Italian guys are using it to plate their pasta. So I want to I'm doing 2 different styles of forks I got to finish up next week, but I want to get into like this high level pasta fork. I got to knock into that tweezer craze, you know? I'm going to get me into that like. I need the next offset serrated knife. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I would love to do tweezers. P.S.
Fader forks.
Shout out
to
to
it, though.
Fader forks. That's what they have. The spoon game's over. Shout out to the Artificery, who made a pair of plating tweezers out of Damascus, about as good as it gets.
Stainless Damascus.
I sent the tweezer king, Tim Musig of JB Prince, over to him. Those are the nicest tweezers of all time. I love to make tweezers, plating tweezers. So that's nice. I don't have a dream. I'm wide awake.
Mareko.
Well, fingers crossed, everything goes smooth with this steel I'm working on right now. Like I said, after the show, after we're done recording, I'm going to blast off the forge scale and chop it up and stack it and get one more weld for the day. Tonight is actually date night for my wife and I for the first time in like fucking like 4 or 5 months. Actually, I think the last real date we had was not last summer, but the summer before last. So actually, it's probably been like a year and a half now, almost. And the last date we went on, our son ended up getting stung like 6 times by wasps. So we ended up cutting that date short. So
Oh, geez.
Great
Yeah,
babysitter
that
on
was-
one.
that was-
I mean, jeez,
That was
Louise.
grandma.
Just keep him
No,
in a...
it hadn't. No, he was at his grandparents, and the kid was dude's just running around. And honestly, like he was good. We had minor concerns because Sarah has an allergy. I do not. Unfortunately, he does not. There was no weirdness or craziness, swelling or anything like that. But she gets bit once, and she'll start like her throat starts closing up and all kinds of crazy shit. So, anyways,
Wow.
so date night tonight. I don't know what we're planning on grabbing some drinks at a friend's restaurant, and then we're gonna go hit up this Korean barbecue place and get some
Dang.
food. And
Are you going to be
then-
doing the cooking yourself?
No, we're doing takeaway, so it's gonna be all prepped,
Oh,
and then
okay.
we're gonna probably find. It's actually been a really beautiful day, and so I think we're gonna just try to find somewhere to hunker down and hang out in a nice spot and eat our food and just kind of chill by ourselves without the dude.
Nice.
Obviously, we love our kid, but holy smokes, it's been a year and a half since we've had some time to ourselves.
Get ready for the
And-
phone call. Victor was bit by a snake.
Yeah, oh my god.
I mean, what else? This bird flew in the window and went straight for him. We don't know what to do. Better come home.
Yeah. So, and then yeah, that's basically it. Just looking forward to not messing up any other stuff.
Nice. Okay, I need to finish this bloody space knife this week. I've got to a point, and I just set it aside. But yeah, this week that needs to be finished. Hopefully, by next weekend. I'm hoping to get the second prototype of the folding knife finished, and this is the one with the alternative handle. So there's going to be two different sort of handles, scales, and this is the second scales now that I just need to test out. So it's going to be a good week, hopefully. Not much can go wrong, and I just hope I get more time in the shop this week than I did the past week. And that's my week. So yeah, hopefully all you guys listening will have a good week too. And I think that's a wrap. We shall speak to you all again. Actually, I don't think we are speaking to you next week. I think we've got the takeover next week, looking at the dates. But we shall speak to you very soon. Bye for now.
This show is brought to you by The Makery, the podcast network for makers.
Right, I just pulled up the calendar. Actually, it is so. This episode's going out on the 1st. No, that's February.
No,
Maybe
this
it's
is
not
this
Oh,
March
wait.
1st. This will come out on March 1st.
Yeah, this is March 1st. It's St. David's Day, which is the
Is
patron
it?
saint of Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah, March the 1st. So March the 8th then, which is the following episode,
right.
will be the takeover episode with Holly.
Killer.
Great.
I can't wait to hear it.
Does she have it? She's working so hard on this. I can't wait to see what she does. You think there's going to be a lot of
I
editing?
think
Or?
she's got lots of people. She's done like short chats with lots and lots of different like female makers. So she's sending me over an edit tonight, so I'm looking forward to listening to that. Actually, it should be good.
She's so
Really, really
cool.
good.
I talked to her on the phone. She's just, she's just a cool person. She's really very, very into it. Really, I'm looking forward to it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be cool, and it gives us a weekend off.
Damn right.
Ooh,
A
ooh.
weekday off. I like
Well, not a day
Fridays.
off, but yeah.
This is fun. I
Is it
like,
good?
This works for me.
dude. I'll tell you what. I like the energy. I mean, Mareko, you were like, you're awake. I felt bad. I felt bad all those times you were, you weren't. And this is better. And Fridays are my shipping day, so like I'm usually not as crazed. So like it's a great way to end the week for me. I love it.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Yeah, it suits me this time of night as well, so it's all
Oh.
good. So I just fucked up today. That's all.
Speaking
That's my
speaking
time.
of drinks, we have been drinking. My wife and I have been drinking Manhattans. Fucking good drink.
Mm.
Is this
What's in a Manhattan?
is it the first time you've ever had a Manhattan?
No, it's not the first time, but like,
Okay.
no, not the first time. I don't really order cocktails, but it was somebody, I don't know who it was drinking Manhattan. So I'm like, let's make a fucking Manhattan. I got all this booze. My landlord gave me all this bourbon. So I'm like, all you got to get some, so it's bourbon, dry, sweet vermouth, some bitters, and a cherry. Fucking good.
It's delicious.
My wife and I have been sharing Manhattan. It's been great.
Nice.
Another
Manhattan's in the winter, Apero's in the summer.
Well, Aperol spritzes in the winter too. She don't give a shit. She's
still going
Hillary's
strong.
just like, you got her hooked. She's just like, hey, let's have some Aperol spritzes. I'm like, it's 20 degrees out now. I don't give a shit what temperature it is outside. So we're having Aperol spritzes all winter long.
If you're liking that
Nice.
Aperol, you should try a Boulevardier. Have you heard that one?
I've heard. I don't know what. I don't know
It's
what it is.
basically a Negroni. Are you familiar with a Negroni?
I do.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
so essentially-
Go ahead.
It's equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and an aperitif like Campari or Aperol.
right.
And then, but so what a Boulevardier is you substitute bourbon for the gin. But it's the same drink, and it gets like an orange peel, and it's super tasty.
So that's not too different from Manhattan.
No, it's not. I mean, a lot of those old cocktails are super simple, straightforward.
It's fun. And then you
Yeah.
know what else we've been drinking? Fucking hard kombucha. You know what that?
Oh, jeez, no.
Hillary used to make kombucha, and it was great. And it really gets your gut. It's for your gut health. And it, if you have any problems, it's like, don't drink too much of it.
Probiotics,
Because it's like,
right?
oh, it's straight to the bathroom.
Natural cultures.
Yeah, whatever. We've been getting the hard ones. It's like a sparkling rosé. Fantastic.
Sure.
Really?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, we've been, and then it's like 4%, so you don't feel as like you don't feel like you're drinking.
A bit lighter.
Yeah.
Nice.
The
nice.
poor man version I used to do is like a Bragg's unfiltered apple cider with some lemonade, a little bit of water, and then whatever, like vodka or something like that. Super
Damn,
delicious.
you're like a mixologist.
Yeah.
You were talking once about a Negroni.
What's that?
No,
a
Negroni.
A Negroni. So it's like a Negroni, but before you make the drink, you wash the glass with absinthe. And a lot of absinthe
Dang.
drinks have,
Jeez.
yeah, it's fucking delicious. It's so good. And I know absinthe has like a bad rap, but honestly, it's just, back in the day, absinthe was probably the strongest spirit that was available at the time. And now it's the traditional absinthe. They did like some chemical testing or chemistry and shit like that, and they didn't find it to be any more potent alcohol wise or any other quote unquote hallucinogens either than anything that's available today. So that's why a lot of places have made it available again now. A lot of
I
states.
like absinthe. I like it.
It's good if you like anise or a black licorice flavor.
Wait, what's the difference between absinthe and chartreuse?
It's so absinthe has like a black licorice flavor, and chartreuse
Okay.
has more of a green tint. I feel like it's more like
It's
almost
like a toxic
minty.
green. It's like
Yeah.
Slimer
It's
from
like
Ghostbusters green.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nah, I can't. Anything that's like hard like that, I just can't. Even like cocktails, I'm not into it. at
Oh
all.
yeah. The
Craig-
last time we talked about you drinking bourbon, you like puked up your guts, didn't
Oh
you?
yeah, jeez, yeah, terribly. Yeah, I was at the conference and I had to do like a tour. Oh, it was the worst thing. I can't know. Ugh.
Craig, there's a beer that I got long time ago in France when I was, high school. And I could never find it again. I found it at a specialty shop, but it's like a Scottish beer, but it has whiskey in it, and it was called Addlescott. You ever heard of that? I've been trying to
No,
find this goddamn
no.
shit. It's beer, and then there's a little bit of whiskey in the beer. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
when a fucking high school kid tasted great. I was like, fucking give me some more of this. And it was super
Yeah.
hard to find.
I've never heard of one with. There's loads of beers over here with like tequila and things like that in them. I've never heard of one with whiskey in, but an Addlescott. No, never heard of that.
Addlescott.
No.
I
Jeff,
like Friday afternoon drink talk.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. yeah.
Time for the drinks. One last thing about your hard kombucha. So that's kind of a play on a type of drink called, or an additive called a shrub, which is used in making cocktails. And essentially, what you do is you do equal parts like fresh fruit or frozen fruit, vinegar, and like a simple syrup mix. And it's super sweet. But what you do is you just take a ladle of that, some soda water, and your cocktail of choice or your spirit of choice over the top of that, and you basically are getting kind of that same flavor.
Huh.
Shrubs.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, that's the one thing about kombucha is it's got a little too much vinegary taste to it for me.
Yeah. Sour.
I'll tell you, drink talk. Me too. To drink talk. The one thing we go to every summer we go to, in this small little place called City Island. It's like a real like old school Italian place. It's like this tiny little island that you can drive to off the Bronx. And it's like these old school Italian restaurants and seafood. And there's this place called Johnny's Reef, and it's like a giant cafeteria. And they have fried shrimp and fried lobster tails, and people show up with like tons of money. And it's very like low budge, super low budge. Like you go in there and you're just like, this place looks dirty. And you go in there, you get your tray, and then you can get the cherry stone clams, and you can get the fried shrimp, and then you can get whatever frog's legs, everything you want. But their specialty is a frozen pina colada, and then they put in a floater of Hennessy on top.
Okay.
I don't like pina coladas, but when I go to Johnny's Reef and I get the cherry stone clams and I get the shrimp cocktail and then whatever, I gotta get the frozen pina colada with the Hennessy floater.
Nice.
I can't explain it.
It's like the Cadillac.
So good.
So we have a lot of the Mexican restaurants here. We have a Cadillac Margarita, which is just a basic margarita, but it's got a Grand Marnier float on top.
Floaters are good. But it seems like the floaters only work with the frozen drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise they're just a mix, surely. Yeah.
Sure.
So what's on your drink menu? This is drink talk.
yeah. But I need to get off because I've got this batch of beer, which is at that sort of halfway. I'm ready to boil it now. We're at the halfway
it's like
point.
midnight now, right?
It is 11:28 now. Yeah, it needs to boil for an hour. Then it's going to take about 30 minutes for like a rapid cool, and then it's going to the fermenter. So it's going to be a late.
What's
night,
the yield? What'll be the yield of this batch?
This is 23 liters. So 23 liters is probably about 50 pints, 55 pints.
And will you go through all of it?
Yeah. Well, it's be put in the keg, and just slowly, work my way through it.
This is the last few taste like
gallons, right?
Just about. Yeah.
And you don't get sick of it?
No, I don't drink a lot, to be honest with you. You know, I'll have maybe one or two glasses in an evening, but you know, when well, I say normally when we got like family over and things like that, you know, that we fly through it. But obviously that's not happening at the moment. But you know, it'll stay in the keg. It'll stay, you know, fresh for well as long as you want, really. But ideally, IPAs they're better drunk fresh. You know, so you still get that sort of hot.
Damn, I want a sip of that.
Yum,
I'm not.
Nice. You'll have to come over. You're more than welcome to the.
I know you're leaving and everything like that. I can't. I stopped drinking carbonation, with the exception of the kombucha, because I was having I was feeling bloated and I'm feeling not great. And then my wife says, "Well, you know, you fucking drink a lot of seltzer water." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You drink like 6 cans a night." And I stopped drinking seltzer water, and I feel like $1 million. I feel different.
I'm not surprised. Six in
or a day. 6 in a day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm off the carbonation. Like, I'm not drinking beer. I'm not drinking any carbonation. I feel better. I don't think we're supposed to drink carbonation. I'm being crazy now.
I think I don't think it's meant to drink most things. But it's moderation.
I'm telling you, man. I don't think we're supposed to drink any of it. I'm not drinking. I'm telling you.
Right. I've got a bit of news actually regarding the show. We've got a news, not a sponsor as such. We've got a product review. Do you know the can twist clamps?
Yes.
They're the clamps that they haven't got like a spiral action to them, so they don't twist things as you clamp things together. They can send 3 of us like a care package
Nice.
to do a product review on them.
Sure.
But I think they'll be perfect for sort of gluing up liners, that kind of thing, because you know they won't twist our
Oh,
space.
yeah.
Hopefully it's not like our book review.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Don't say a fucking word. Say a word.
That didn't really happen, did it?
Say
No.
a word.
Yeah, keep quiet about that. But so you'll get something in the post. Well, he had the addresses today, so whenever they come, we'll sort something out. Cool. Right. Have a good weekend, the 2 of you, and I shall speak to you both soon.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.
This show is brought to you by The Makery, the podcast network for makers.